Hello, I'm Dr. Stan Engebretson. I'm the head of choral studies at George Mason University and also the artistic director of the National Philharmonic Chorale and the music director and organist at the New York Avenue Presbyterian Church.
Hi, my name is Bolormaa Jugdersuren. I teach music at Ashland Elementary School and Tuckahoe Elementary School, as well as voice instructor at Arlington Adult Education Center in Arlington, Virginia.
Hello, my name is Bill Podolski. I'm the Director of Choral Activities at H.B. Woodlawn Secondary Program here in Arlington, as well as the Assistant Artistic Director for the Corrales Foundation. Please join us in conversation.
So then my mom supported me to give an audition for music school when I was very little. And after all, I decided to study in Pedagogical College for Musical Educator, and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in music teacher. I've been as a teacher, music teacher in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. I came from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, all the way down the other side of the world. And then 2 years later, I decided to be as an opera singer, and I gave an audition and got full scholarship from Mongolian University of Art and Culture. After receiving my bachelor's degree, I've been as an opera singer in Mongolian Opera House. And after singing 4 years, and I decided to study for master's degree. I was first young artist who invited me as a full-time associate professor at the voice department in Mongolian University of Art and Culture. So in 2000, I received a full scholarship from Mount View University of Arts and Culture in London, United Kingdom. I studied for 3 years over there, and I applied another degree to Peabody Conservatory. Now they call Peabody Institute of the Johns Hopkins University. So I graduated in 2005.
So that's how you got here?
Yeah.
From Peabody?
Yes.
Well, welcome. It's wonderful for us to have you here and to hear you
thank
sing
you very much.
And now you're involved in education.
Yes, first time actually I gave several auditions for opera companies and accepted, and I offered several places, for example, Baltimore Opera Company and Houston Opera Company in Texas. Unfortunately, I couldn't accept because I have children. I have to think about my children's education. So then I searched which school system is good for my English language learner students, my kids. And I found out that Arlington Public Schools have wonderful program, HEALT program, they called High Intensive Language Training Program for English language learner students. So then in 2005, I moved to Arlington, and my kids studied and learned wonderfully English. And my elder daughter, Engebretson, graduated from Wakefield High School with full scholarship from Bucknell University. And she was one of the valedictorian and gave great speeches in a constitutional hall. So it was great.
Yeah.
And so you found yourself in Arlington too,
Yes.
as a music teacher.
Yes, and then in 2008, I started to teach music in Arlington Public School. So I love my job because it's very joyful, it's great. Whenever I see and my students' happy faces and excitements from music class, this is the great experience for me for teaching elementary school kids. Yeah.
How has your, you spoke at length about your experience, your musical experience growing up and throughout. How does that inform your teaching in the classroom that you do today? Because those are very different worlds, right? I mean, singing on an opera stage and then being in an elementary classroom are very different, but yet they share an experience.
Yes, teaching music in elementary school kids is a very responsible job, because if I didn't teach them proper music knowledge for the early age students, they won't be able to play instruments, they won't be able to sing. So general music teachers are not teaching a song. They also teach, but they also teach music theory, music history, how to play instruments, unpitched and pitched percussion instruments, how to dance, and how to explore the expression when they're hearing the music by locomotor and motor movements, you know. So this is the beauty of the being as a music teacher. And also another thing is I'm really proud of myself to teaching in Arlington Public Schools, because Arlington Public School Superintendent Dr. Murphy and Arlington Public School Arts Education Supervisor Ms. Pam and all the school administrator, principals and assistant principals and PTAs are supported the music program, you know. So for example, all the classrooms have smart board, and all music teachers have an Apple computer, because nowadays we are living in a 21st century students. My students are born in 21st century, all technology. When we were their age, we didn't know any smart board, computer, and smart, phone. So that's why I'm using my music program for a smart notebook software, how to use it. And then I'm using the game plan program, which is I brought here. So I just want to introduce you about the game plan. It's developed by Jeff Kriske, Randy Deleles. All of them were general music teacher as the elementary school kids. So why it's very influenced, helpful for the elementary school kids, because the game plan is an active music curriculum for children, and it's organized by presented and organized by presented in chronologically in weekly lessons, and also in game plan sequences, musical skills, and objectives that support the national standard for arts education.
You're right that Arlington School and Northern Virginia as a whole has a very rich, celebrated culture of music education in the school programs.
Yeah.
I remember I was teaching in Fairfax County before coming to Arlington County. I was teaching elementary school as well as a general music teacher. And as you mentioned, I felt, I believe in, clearly I believe in music education as an important part of a young person's life. And I remember being a part of as an elementary teacher, feeling that I had this great sense of responsibility to capture those kids, if you will, into this music world, that you have them from kindergarten to 6th grade, and there's your hook, hopefully, is your hook to get them to find the joy in music and to expose them to history and composition and literacy or singing or playing, whatever it might be that hook to keep them invested in music. And so I felt that sense of responsibility to expose them, and it's great that the game plan helps, and maybe the use of technology helps in that way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at the end of it, right, the hope is for us to spread this joy of music, right, whatever that might be.
But I think, as you said already, it develops those critical skills. So it isn't just to hook them into music, it's to really expand their ability to solve problems, to work with people, to learn leadership, to learn teamwork, to do every life skill that you need is in a choir. So we're not just preaching to the choir, we're just telling everybody that anything that you do that involves you in an artistic way just activates the brain, keeps you young. Look at all of us, we're all young. But not as young as you. Now, I knew you when you came to George Mason as my student.
That's
so
right.
Tell us some stories.
Okay, so I got captured with music, as I said before, by way of my high school, my middle school music programs, actually my elementary music program. I was the kid that really didn't fit into any particular circle, and music became the place where I could belong, and it became the place where not only was I successful at it, which is necessary, right? To do well in music, you have to have some sense of talent, but it was also a place where I felt at home, and that was very meaningful to me as an elementary school kid and middle school, and then ultimately high school. And so it was at the end of my high school career where I thought about what to do with my life, and I felt very strongly about paying it forward, offering this gift of music to others. And so from Long Island, I found my way to George Mason, and how grateful I was to be there and to pursue both studies in instrumental music as well as choral music education. By the time I was done with George Mason, for whatever reason, for the many reasons, I felt like choral music was my thing more than instrumental music, and decided that that would be my life's work. And 9 years later, here I am. 6 of those years have been at HB Woodlawn, for which I'm so very grateful. And 3 years prior to that, as I mentioned, was at an elementary school, and that has rounded out my career so far. And my continued intention is to share this gift, and with the students of HB Woodlawn, with its community, and yeah.
Well, you have a rare gift and a rare school. They're so dedicated at your school. But I think that's the other thing that music brings to you. You have to practice to be good at it. You have to be disciplined. You have to find time and priority, and and parents are very supportive because they realize how strong you're getting when you're doing these kind of events. So 9 years is nothing. This is my 40th year of teaching. So.
Oh my God.
So as
But
the
you look
grandfather
very
on this
young.
stage, and actually it's been 20 years, over 20 years now here at George Mason. And so it's amazing how I've just watched how our whole Northern Virginia area has become the center of all music, not just choral music, everything. And throughout the city of the metropolitan Washington, how many choruses there are here. And how many adults. I work a lot with the symphony and with the churches, of course, with the adult learners and singers as well. And it just keeps everybody learning. I think that's why it's just so much fun. You're always doing new repertoire or coming back to the old things that you know so well. But for all of us who've come a long ways, Mongolia is a long ways, New York is a long ways, but I'm from near Fargo, North Dakota, so that's growing up in the Scandinavian choral tradition, singing in the choir with your father, singing with a local music director that, just like you said, was a leader, just made everybody want to learn how to do this. So. And so every day we go to work and we have fun, and so we've made our avocation our vocation. I think that's personally the joy that you get watching everybody you get excited about the music, but also just realizing too that you touch a greater hem when you open a score and you're trying to get into the mind of Beethoven. Why did he write that way? What was genius about Mozart? And it just unfolds before you. It's like reading the greatest book, and every time you read it, it just gets better. So to do a Mozart Requiem many times, or a Handel Messiah thousands of times, it's really great.
That's great.
We're lucky to do what we do.
The parting words that I give to my seniors, or when all of my students hear this, as by nature of it, is that music is that one gift that you can take with you through the rest of your life, particularly singing. That it's the one thing that life won't take away from you. Hopefully, and I say to them that many of your parents, believe it or not, were maybe cheerleaders or were on the football team or on the track team, and that might be hard for you to conceive of, they at this point, but because you can't be a cheerleader for the rest of our lives, or maybe the high school football player for the rest of our lives, but we can sing, and I know that the work that you do, and through churches and through the community chorus at the symphony, is a testament to that, of the numbers of adults that continue to enrich their lives with music.
Yeah, and the things that, we've all done in terms of multiculturalism, in terms of, I'm sure what you bring to the schools is really exciting, and things that you can share that nobody else will understand. But for us too, when we take the choirs on these tours, you watch how someone goes along at a certain age level. When they come home a week later, it's an entirely different person. You can see how worldly they become, how they appreciate the world. We were talking before we came on about the G8. They should sit down and sing in a choir first, and then sit down and make the deals and the offerings that they need to do. So it's the great equaler, but it also really teaches them a lot about culture and history, and that's really important.
It's interesting to think about the variety of worlds that we represent here. And in one of the things that you were talking about was referencing singing the Mozart Requiem or singing the Handel Messiah, which are major and wonderful works, but those are worlds away from what your students are currently doing. But they are still 200-year-old works that are relevant and present in our world today. So part of our challenge too is to continue to be to how do we share this rich history of choral music and yet also be current, right? And so I'm thinking about your usage of game plan and the smart boards and that we're using in classrooms. Of how do we bridge that gap between you know, the greatness of choral music in its history, yet also with today's current learners?
Yeah. But in all of science, they always say that there's a strong correlation between music and medicine. You know, if you know the doctor's orchestras, or music and math. I don't know. I seem to have missed that gene, but there are things that analytic part of the brain really attaches to. So I think that's another reasons why this choral music is such an important part. Not only excites our soul, but it really excites your mind as well.
Yeah, also, you know, when we are teaching general music, we not teaching the song I told you before. We teaching them the nursery rhymes, traditional songs,
culture,
you know, folk songs and traditional children's games and dances, form and all of the repertoires included, all of this program, you know. So when I using this smart notebook, this is the beauty of the kids have their feeling, because younger children are studying and learning by their senses. They touch it and feel it and watch it and listening it, you know, you heard what is going on, you know. So that's why when I using the smart notebook for my elementary school kids, they are so excited because I can make wonderful animated picture. I can create and convert the wonderful music, sound effects, and also videos. And I can make interactive lessons like rhythm games and songs, touching their little hands, you know. When I put for example, all 8 notes and quarter notes and half notes and whole notes and the rest, they can make their rhythms and they're excited to play. You know, they're excited to sing.
Yeah.
So
theirs too. They're creating.
That's why I'm learning from them. You know, every single time I can learn from them because this is 21st century. So every day, every minute, and every seconds, the wonderful technologies are invented, very extremely high qualified. So we need to study and learn, educate as fast as we can. So
And didn't you say something earlier? I don't mean to interrupt, but about the pyramids too, how they learn from each other as they grow?
Yes. So in Arlington Public School, we have wonderful pyramid concept, which is from elementary school, middle school, and high school students come together and sing all together in chorus. So beginning and end of the songs are singing all the level of the students together, which makes the students are so excited and, you know, feel how wonderful singing in front of people, singing all together in chorus, you know. So this is the wonderful program for the Arlington Public Schools.
I think the holiday carol is saying, "Rejoice all together."
Yeah. Also, the Arlington Public Schools have great programs every day, every minute to create, you know, influence to us to have to support the kids. For example, Ashland Elementary School, we have a sing-along and before the winter break, which is this 2 weeks after, we will have wonderful sing-along.
We do that as well.
You do as well? Wonderful. So this is a great experience for the kids to sing with the parents. All parents come together and all teachers come together and together to sing in the all joyful, wonderful songs. It's the beauty, you know, beauty of the chorus, beauty of singing all together.
And you do a special generations choir, right, at holiday time?
Yeah, well, echoing what you do, we don't do a sing-along with parents necessarily, but the last day before winter break, the piano gets rolled into the main lobby or the area where most students come in from the buses, and it becomes one big carol sing-along, and so many of the students participate. And what is that? Why when we need it most do we just get hooked into singing? Or I think on the contrary of that, I think about the days of national mourning or lamenting or saying the G8. We think about a time like 9/11, right? And how do we heal? How do we grow from that? As we often turn to singing, and that's a powerful thing for us to be providing our students in our educational programs and in our culture. But what you were referencing is, and so where I try to also do that at HB is each year I do an HB Woodlawn Community Chorus that for 3 weeks of the school year in December. We rehearse either at 7:30 in the morning or 7:30 in the evening to whichever schedule works best for people. And I invite parents and alumni, teachers, staff, friends, neighbors, whoever wants to come and be a part of this. We usually end up having about 50 folks come and sing for our winter concert. We'll be doing it on our winter concert December 19th. And it's great because you have people who've either always wanted to give it a try but never had the bravery, but now that they're an adult they do have the bravery, or we have people who haven't sung for 20 years, or we have the seasoned veteran, right, who is just wanting another opportunity. And
that's great.
It's a great
because
testament to the art.
This is a great idea for me because I teach voice in Arlington Adult Education Center.
Right. Yeah.
There are many people who never sing before, or many people the same as you told us as didn't sing for a while, about 20, 30 years, so I teach them how to sing, how to produce the sound, and how to use the breath support or something like that, very basic knowledge of singing. So after we have finished, the section is finished, they asked me where we should go next. We have Arlington Adult Education Center has wonderful chorus.
Great.
It's great, which is wonderful. Some of the parents, some of my students wanted to sing shorter term of the chorus, which is
So that works.
it's great work. It's connected together.
It's part of their ongoing education. I know you said you've started your master's program now, and I know from George Mason we're so excited to offer a doctoral program now. The DMA in conducting is there, and our master's candidates are now working out in the area. A lot of the people that have gone through our university are here teaching. So it's really rich to have our partners and our friends and to have chances like this to get together and know that you were talking about paying forward. That's how we feel the same way, that we're training the teachers of tomorrow as well. So it's very exciting.
Right.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, because it's important for us to have the technical skill in front of a classroom of young musicians to know what we're doing in front of them. That's always an important skill to have, right, as we're on the field. We often have to also ask ourselves, why, is it so attractive to so many, and I think about how, I think about my students' daily experience in their classes, and I think about our experiences in life now with all of our iDevices and our insular electronic devices.
Yes.
And then the academic environment for our students is often so about them. It's self-driven, my grade, my GPA. And there are few opportunities, I think, for it being about the collective group success. Team. And sports teams are obvious, right? But there's often a competitiveness to it, or really talent-driven, right? But singing is something that's, I think, more widely accessible. And thoughts on that?
I think it's also community. If you're coming to the area new, someone, for example, that graduates from college and they get their first job on the Hill, first thing they do is look in the paper to see which chorus can I join, because they came from a choral tradition at Harvard or whatever they sang in choirs. But there's a lot of the singers that come to the area, that's how they build their friends, and that's how they build their networks. And so it's a very social event as well as just a rich event to fill your soul.
Do you find that at George Mason? Do you find students who are coming to campus who are looking for a place to belong, and they find it?
Yeah, the department's grown so much. It's now a school of music. It's 400 majors, and we also have what's called the Green Machine. It's a large, we would call it, I guess, a pep band, but it's 200 players in this band. And so there's a lot of folks. In fact, one of the leading student who was in the engineering department, he said, I came to this university because I could play in this band.
Oh, nice.
I could have gone anywhere in the world,
yeah.
But so I think, it's certainly part of the social culture and fabric of being a college student. But a lot of the people then, when you go on and you start your new jobs and your new areas, you want to do it. Or people have encore careers. If you're retiring, I finally have time to join the choir now.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, another thing is when I found out that, excuse me, singing is wonderful because our soul is happy. When I started to sing and teaching the voice lesson in the afternoon for my adult education center, so all people enjoyed and getting excited to make the sound. First, they came a little bit embarrassed or shy, you know, and then few weeks after, they're so excited to sing, so excited to show their emotion, so excited to create these wonderful sounds from their body. Because our voice is not the same as other instruments. Our instrument is inside of our body. Who is tuning it? Not me, you, not you, not you. The person is tuning that voice, you know, that instrument. So if the person is happy, the voice, the instrument is happy, you know. So this singing, and it's great, joyful. I think our job is great, don't you think?
I completely
Joyful.
agree.
I just love watching you sparkle as you tell about it. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great job.
We talked about highlights. You can tell when the singers, or you see it in the work environment. If you have someone that's in your office and they make a great presentation and they've learned how to use highlights. They learned that in the choir. And then they go out and they become, you know, the top marketing person, you know, for someplace. But they learn how to be self-confident in their own body because of that voice, but also then how they can handle themselves in public. So.
Yeah.
We make it, though, sound so easy in some ways. We're like, singing's great, why doesn't everyone do it? But we have to admit that there's a lot of people who self-identify as non-singer, that there's a lot of people who, and I think even, teaching elementary school, I was out, first grader comes to me, and I'm a first grader, right?
Very little
comes to
ones.
me, and I said, so why aren't you singing in our class? I can't sing. And so at some point in this little person's life, they had already self-identified as a non-singer, right? And I think many people that go throughout life never singing, and what is that, right? Because I believe that really most people, if you can speak, you can probably sing something, right?
Yes.
But it is such a vulnerable experience, right? It's taking it's taking talent, it's taking your soul, it's taking a sound, you have to put it out there, right? And so part of what we do is giving people that bravery, giving people that fortitude to put their vulnerable voice out there, and there's nothing cooler than when we make that happen, and someone who, right?
Yeah.
But I also see too in our audiences how they will say, well, I can't sing, but the music moves me so. And you were talking about times of stress and sorrow. If you're an adult and you've lost someone and you go see the Four Requiem that you're about to do, you know, it touches something. There's something inside of you that gets touched.
Yeah.
And as long as we can touch the emotions in the soul, either with a smile or with a tear, it doesn't matter. But that's a big part of why we do it too. It's talking about serving the greater good. I mean, that's one chance we get to touch the hem of things. Very exciting.
Yeah.
And
Happy with
the
this.
message for, you know, Arlington, the Arlington community, right, is that whether you have a very young child, whether you have a student in the school program, whether you are beyond the school age and are still interested in being an adult learner, or whether you are part of a church or just the Arlington community, that there is a place for singing to be had in at any level, right?
Yeah. Also, another thing is the beauty of Arlington County is a very diverse community. There are many different people come from different country, different places, and they have different culture, you know. But they're connected together by singing, music, and playing, you know.